time experience. You don't have,
Right.
because they at the end of the day they think that, you know what, I'm gonna go kill this person, maybe I'll be dying, but I might be revived again. There is no assurity that you're actually happy all the time. Imagine that you lose 2 or 3 games in a row.
Of course.
You're becoming very, very
So
upset.
it was bringing
right?
out the emotions which I even didn't know sometimes.
Exactly.
Right? So do you think that gaming can bring out the worst emotions?
Absolutely.
Hello guys, and welcome to a new episode of Certified Overthinkers. Now, this is a very special episode because in this episode we are going to talk about gaming, which everyone loves. Now, we're going to go about the good things and the bad things, whether the gaming is addictive or not, and what potentially could be the reasons for its addiction. For this episode, I have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine and very good friend. We have been friends for 8 years. Now, we have went through ups and downs. We have seen quite a lot of life together here in Poland. With this, I would like to welcome our guest, Abe, brother. So happy to have you here.
Nice to see you.
How's
bro.
life?
It's really good. Just at the same time, I wanted to say that I'm kind of like hanging in there.
Yeah.
Just mixed feelings, but in general, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Yes. So, Abe, I know we have spent quite a lot of time coming from our dormitory days, right? Where we used to play Civilization 4. If you remember that game. Civilization 5. Very, very good game.
Yeah.
Now, there were always times like when we were sometimes overplaying the game. And I wanted to get into the narrative of whether gaming is addictive or we are just too much into it.
Again, it's a mixture of both, right? So anything which you overutilize or let's say overconsume, it's going to have its own drawbacks,
Right.
So that's the way how I see this as the gaming as it is. So when you speak about us kind of overspending the time during those days, it depends on the circumstances as well, right? Because we were applying for jobs.
Right.
We were pretty much waiting for the people to reply back to us whether we're going to get the job or not. That's one point, right? And the other point is that we have had our opportunities to play, talk, sit and talk, but in a way we both were playing together on one laptop, right? I wanted to specifically mention that.
Okay.
And we were not playing competitive. We were just playing for fun.
For fun.
Right?
Yes, yes.
So there is a big difference between playing for fun, casual playing, relaxation, killing time. It's all part of gaming. But then there is a side where it's competitive, and competitive gaming is kind of like ruling the industry, and it's really upcoming to be one of the kind of like $1 billion industry, right? There's different sections to it. It's like esports gaming, different sets of gaming. It's very competitive and like online competitive games. So even when I sit at home, for example, right, and when I play like a random game on a competitive mode, I feel like maybe I'm going to be playing a competitive, like proper competitive match one day. So I'm like heavily focused on the gaming, right? So what I wanted to say is, at that point of time, we both were like simply killing the time.
Yes.
So it was not really like addiction. It was more or less like us both having fun. And I also remember the fact that every time we wanted to play a game, we have to like install the whole Windows into the laptop. It had some issues, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing when it comes to the addiction, right? If you were not there in that room, for example, if it was just me looking into the laptop, reinstalling the Windows, everything exactly the same, but you were not in the picture, for example, it's a different scenario at that point of time. And at that point of time, it's like me looking into the laptop all the time, playing and thinking whether if I'll click with the job or not. That's one thing, right? So it's again mixture of both.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So you mentioned that when you were alone and when you were trying to play the game, you were not very much interested in that. So do multiplayer games, they become more addictive because you are playing online with different people, or let's call it like with your friends? So are these the type of games which are more addictive?
Yeah, So this is the question I wanted to answer in a different way,
Right.
right? So I'm going to start with this.
Mhm.
3 cases, right? The first case is a kid from Thane, India,
Mhm.
um, 16 years old kid, if I remember correctly, who died, who did a suicide because the family confiscated the mobile phone just to curb the addictive habits of gaming. So
Okay.
the kid was actually playing all the time on the phone. He couldn't get the phone. He just did a suicide. So that's the first case. This happened in 2025, by the way. Now let's run it back to 2024.
Mhm.
And there is one case again from India, Uttarakhand. One kid, he is of 18 years of age, right? A different scenario.
Yeah.
In this scenario, he did again, unfortunately, committed a suicide. But this is because of mounting debt. So he was kind of borrowing money from friends, from whomever that he could
Mhm.
borrow the money from. And he was investing on his game, supposedly. And what happened was he reached a point where the game is not rewarding enough physically, like in the sense it's not really giving him any cash or any incentives.
Mm.
So he just doesn't know what to do anymore. He was just inside the gaming world and
Mm.
he didn't know that the debt was being collected on one side, and he committed a suicide, unfortunately. I think this happened in Rudrapur, India,
Okay.
in Uttarakhand. But more details could be found
Mhm.
online, obviously, and by the time parents, when they got to know about this,
Mhm.
the thing already happened. So this is the second one.
Okay.
Now I would like to run it back run it ahead with 2025, one more case. It's his name was Alex, I don't know, Hefman, Alex Hefman.
Okay.
He's a British gamer,
Right.
top gamer. He's 17 years of age.
17.
17
Okay.
years of age. Now, he also unfortunately committed suicide. Now, in this case, it was a bit different. It was just a belief. He believed that he wouldn't pass the examination. I think GCSE examination. That he believed that he gave the exams. He was not confident. He thought he will fail. In fact, after this thing happened, this incident, they got to know that he actually passed the exam. So it's going to play with your brains.
Mhm.
And this kid was having ADHD and borderline autism as well, right? So I've given you 3 scenarios,
Yes.
which is related to gaming addictions,
Mhm.
but different circumstances, So it is going to be addictive. Anything that's after a certain limit, if you consume, it's going to be addictive. So the bottom line is, it's very easily to get addictive if you are not being indulged into any other external activities.
Mhm.
It's very important that as parents, they try and educate the children on not to play too much
Mhm.
is one thing, and obviously to go get some fresh air.
Mhm.
There's always this concept where online gaming is one of the point where you can make online friends,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
This
Yeah,
online
yes.
social thing. I wouldn't say it's fake. It's true. It's actually
Yes.
true. You can actually have a proper friendship. There has been many stories where, some like a kid who died due to cancer, for example, and after years, this online gamer
Mhm.
got in touch with this
Mhm.
this person, and then the
Yeah.
person's parents connected with them,
Right.
and it seems like he passed away, and
Yeah.
he got to know. So that's
Yeah.
why he was never online for about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, he even left a message for his online friends, right? So there is a lot of connections. I don't want to go deeper into it, but there's a lot
Yeah.
of emotional attachment to the gaming and the
Yes.
gaming community
Yeah.
itself. But when it comes to addiction, it's really possible for somebody to get addicted to it.
Mm. And what causes these addictions? Are there specific kinds of games which are more addictive? For example, you are getting reward system. I don't know, maybe fighting games, more
Yeah.
arcade, more multiplayer. For example, now you have like games like PUBG, Call of Duty, 100 players like playing at the same time. So what kind of games are more addictive according to you?
So I wanted to answer this in a biological way, I would say.
Okay.
a biological way, because this is how it works, right? At the end of the day, we need to find out what's really happening with our human brain, for example, right? So when you play a game, when I sit down in front of the computer, when I play a game, your brain structure actually changes. And as you know, from the childhood, when you grow up, your brain is getting structured according to the circumstances that we live on, right? We live through. And that's really quite important. So 3 things, right? I would like to first touch on this frontal cortex in the brain, which is, if I believe correct, it is responsible for decision making. So imagine that I know that I'm sitting in front of the computer and playing, or let's say PlayStation and playing. I know that it's harmful, but it has already impacted my decision making. I know it's harmful, but I'm just not able to stop it.
So is it because of the dopamine effect which you are getting?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there,
okay.
right? So this is one thing, right? And the second part is nucleus accumbens. So this is a part that's responsible for reward system in our body. So this is where the dopamine comes into play.
Okay.
So once I feel like, I won one round of game. Let's say I win one round of game. That gives me certain dopamine hit, right? Wow, yes. That's the reaction that I wanted to have. So that's a certain level of dopamine that I get. And it's, if let's say we consider 100% on a normal baseline dopamine level, it's between 170 to 250, I would say. This is the dopamine percentage that gaming could give you. And let's say for the other drugs is 300%,
right?
Like cocaine and stuff, right? And the other ones, like the heavier ones, is like 3,000 even, But let's go back to where the structural part, right? The reward system. Imagine that when I'm not playing, because I'm constantly hit with the dopamine when I'm playing for, let's say, 6, 7, 8 hours. So that's like I'm inside in that effect of gaming, and I'm just getting injected with dopamine for quite some time. So it's like overutilization of dopamine. So due to the surge of the dopamine, like for example, when I go and do some external activity, and I'm just not able to get that kind of dopamine hit level. It's like it's not constant. You're getting me right? So this is the dopamine part that plays into role. And the third part is I think medulla, I think, and this is where the brain structure, where it's responsible for emotions and control. So for example, like if I'm not playing the game, I feel angry, and I feel frustrated. So I'm not able to control my anger, for example. And again, short-temperedness, like I'm not playing, let's say I'm cooking. If I'm not finding salt, for example, and I'm getting angry, I'm just not able to have control over emotions. So if that part of the brain structure is being affected, just imagine how badly it could affect over the time period, right? So this is where I'm not like a neuroscientist or something like that, neurologist or anything, but this is just the information that's available out there in the internet, and I think people should be educated on it. Especially parents.
But once again, I want to still discuss the same question. So again, are there certain types of games which can be addictive?
So I think that's the part which I wanted to get into, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy, right?
Yeah.
So let's say relaxing games. So for example, I have some games on my phone. Let's say there's Candy Crush, or let's say some fun games, for example. I just wanted to sit and just kill time. So that's it. You could get addicted to those kind of games up to a certain level. But when it comes to multiplayer games, again, competitive games, it has become an industry right now. Like I said before, right? There are tournaments. Yeah, and they have been promoting these tournaments in YouTube and in Twitch, all sort of platforms. So the kids who's growing up, they realize the fact that if you are actually a proper gamer, you will be able to earn a lot of money. That's one thing, right? And so it's a career at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's indeed an industry that's still developing.
Yeah.
And with open AI, with open world games, lots and lots of games, variety of games are there out there, which is yet to be competitive. So let's say take like GTA, for example, right? GTA has always been the backbone of gaming industry, I
Yes.
would say.
Yes.
A lot of people are easily addicted to that game because the things which you are not able to do in the real life. For example, I get to see the fact that I could just simply go and hit someone with the car, right, in the game, and you see that the body is like splashing, unfortunately the person is dying, this and the stuff. The police is coming from the helicopters. It's fun. Just remember, this is like a small kid who's playing, so that's why there is certain age limitations as well, right? So imagine that you have like 8-year-old kid who's exposed to this kind of game, like open world games like GTA. You're seeing all this stuff, then you can even enter clubs, again, nudity and all those stuff. So you're being exposed to the things which you shouldn't have been exposed to at that
Right.
certain age.
Right.
So again, competitive games, kind of like open world games, and most importantly, the time that you spend on this gaming. And so this is like a layer. Imagine that there is like a layer in front of you and me, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that there is a layer. This is a layer that's getting worn out over time, and this layer, that is the thing which gives you the information to your brain that says that don't go for playing, don't
Right.
that's the self-consciousness.
Yeah.
That layer is getting worn out over time,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
And that's what happens to a child. So every child fundamentally has this layer of good and bad. I shouldn't go and hit a person randomly, right?
Yes.
So that's that layer. So that's getting worn out because since childhood you are being playing in this game all the time. You don't have any real-time experience. You don't have,
Right.
because they at the end of the day they think that I'm gonna go kill this person. Maybe I'll be dying, but I might be revived. You getting what I'm saying? Because in a game,
right.
you're never
Yes.
dying.
Yes. Yes.
You're going over and over again. You're going killing people, and okay,
Yes.
you know what? I will get revived back. That's just a child who's playing. He wouldn't know anything about this, right? So, in a lot of cases, in
Yeah.
regards to it, and obviously, the gaming industry and the internet would try and hide certain set of things, and nobody would like to see the negative impacts on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting. Because when you talk about these competitive games, now you have multiplayer like COD, as I mentioned. Because
Yeah.
I remember a time when I believe I was also addicted to gaming, especially with a multiplayer game called PUBG.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot, and like even during my working hours, when I had a gap between the meetings, I would jump to game directly. I would wait for my friends to come online, play with me. Even when I was going to washroom, I always had my cell phone with me and I was playing the game there. So, and it affected me in a very negative way, right? My relationship was getting bad at that time with my ex. I always wanted to play the game. I was not spending some quality time with her. So it actually affected me a lot. My question is gaming addiction very similar to gambling and substance use?
Yeah. So that's the answer which we kind of discussed in the previous
Yes, we
questions,
did. Yes.
because it all at the end of the day depends on the dopamine level, right?
Yes,
So like I
exactly.
said, in a gaming, you see, let's say this is cocaine. Let's say this.
Yeah.
I know this is the drug. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be consuming it, and it's very difficult to
Yes.
attain this, right?
Yeah.
Like to acquire it. Now, I know. Let's say this is gaming, right? No one is asking me to stop playing, right? I
Yeah.
can play up
Yeah.
to a certain level, right? No one is. This is not dangerous.
Yes.
There's no symbol or
Yeah.
anything like that. And on the gaming boxes, like the game CD boxes, what I mean to say is the packaging, right? In no packaging it says that don't play more than 8 hours. Don't play more than 4 hours. There is no such signals as such. It's going
That's
to
true.
adversely affect the whole
Mhm.
gaming industry. And there is a reason for it. Because when they make such a game, that doesn't mean that make any sort of games. They wanted to make it more and more addictive. And that's how they earn as a gaming company, right? So what I mean to say is, it's easy to get addicted, and it's easy to have the higher surge levels of dopamine
Mhm.
as you're constantly playing and you're constantly getting released with this dopamine. But when you're taking a hit of cocaine, or let's
Yeah.
say even nicotine, for example, right? These are small level dopamine hits. It affects up to a certain amount.
Yeah.
But here no one is stopping you from it. So that's where there is like a layer where you're not
Yeah.
able to understand what, it's really affecting my brain. No, you don't understand.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to go back to that point where you said you were kind of addicted to PUBG.
Yes.
It also depends on your other emotional levels. You might be really stressed. So
Right.
most of the time it's not just time killer. Let's say I have a very thick schedule of work
Yeah.
on a particular day, and I just want to go back and just want to relax.
Hmm.
And you know what? I like to play this game. Again, it's like a dopamine hit, but at least for an hour. But for you, in that case, it could be different circumstances, So that really doesn't mean that you're like heavily addicted to the gaming. Probably it could be a fact that you were trying to get away from a certain level of depression or a certain level of stress. So,
That's true.
but because see, now I'm pretty sure that you're not playing the game, right?
I think I can confirm on this one because I was going through a rough patch
Yeah.
in my life during that time. I did realize that I was depressed.
Yeah.
And in my work, I was very stressed. And even my relationship with my ex at that time, it was not working out the way I expected it to be.
Right.
So I think this is one of the reasons that I found the happiness in that game, which I was getting. And I was able to forget about all the stress, all the problems. And I kept on playing that game for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But again, there is no assurity that you're actually happy all the time,
Yes.
Right? Imagine that you lose 2 or 3 games in a row.
Of course.
You're becoming very, very
So
upset.
it was bringing
right?
out the emotions which I even didn't know sometimes.
Exactly.
right?
Because you might get really frustrated even with your
Yes,
friends. You'll
yes,
be like,
yes.
you'll be abusing, you'll
Yes,
be
yes,
like,
yes. Mhm.
and then it could even lead to like breakage of many good friendships, for example, right? So it's a thin line at
Yes.
the end of the day, because some people might take it personal, even our very, very close friends, right? But it'll take out the emotions which you might not know. Oh wow, I had this kind of anger inside me. But that anger could be not just because of the game. It could be related to something else. So it's like a
Right.
chained reaction kind of thing.
Mm.
You're upset with something. You're coming into gaming. You'll be thinking, "Oh man, I'm not able to win even in this game.
Hmm.
What the hell, man? It's this guy's fault." So I have that experience, right? So, but I kind of figured it out. Okay, this is where I need to, put a boundary. You know what? Shut my mouth, dude. This is your own problem. Don't take it on others. But that consciousness, again, is being worn out in most of the
Right.
children these days.
So do you think that gaming can bring out your worst nightmares?
Absolutely. Because
Interesting.
what happens is that, I wanted to get away from the stress
Yes.
as much as I can. So I keep playing the game all the time. Let's say even if I'm playing for 1 or 2 hours, right? Because, some of the people are actually working. So when I'm go to sleep, I'm actually thinking, oh, you know what? Can I buy this kind of gun? Like this kind of digital mode, like in the game, is it possible for me to buy a certain set of things? Or again, every time, every week, certain games release its own updates, new skins,
Yeah.
right? This is like kind of like a digital currency, right? So you have to pay, again, it's a sort of a gambling thing, so there is this kind of thing in FIFA, like you open like packs. So once you open packs, you get certain set of players. So over there, you pay for this many coins. So you'll have to pay with the real cash, and then you convert it to digital currency within the game, gaming currency, I would call it as. And then you spend on it. You don't get the player that you wanted to get, right? Then you do it again, over and over and over again. And then there was even a point where the previous year, for the previous edition of the game, where the very known the content makers of FIFA, they came into announcement. They were actually announcing to everyone, like even to their own followers, that please stop spending money on this.
Really?
Exactly. So
Because I don't hear people doing that, by the way.
no, so there is like a certain loyal fans, like a
Yeah.
fan base for FIFA, for example, just like for PUBG, for COD, for everything else, even for Fortnite, right? So there is certain set of content creators. They all kind of like mutually decided that, you know what, we're going to tell this kids, don't buy it, because what's happening is they buy the packs and they share it. So there is like a share screening, screen share kind of thing going on the online live
Okay.
shows. So for example, if I am a content creator for FIFA, I'm like my friend, or let's say a person, can share the screen, and he might be already buying all these packs, and kept it just to show it to the other audience, right? So, and we just asked these people, and the content creator just asked them, what's your age? 16, 15, where the money is coming from your parents. And then at a point, because it just went way beyond a certain point where EA Sports understood that, you know what, they're earning money from this. Let's put more and more attractive packs out there. So gaming in general, the gaming companies, the designers will always come up with certain set of ways, even with the kind of machine learning that we have like today. They'll come up with certain set of ideas to make it more and more addictive and make it more and more easier for them to earn money.
Yeah. Now, I have a question in this one, because you did bring a very good point about the gaming industry itself.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get your opinion on, you just brought the example of EA Sports, that now they are making people aware about not to buy things, right?
Yeah.
So for FIFA, as an example, you pay for the game, you buy it, and which makes sense for EA Sports to come out and say that, guys, we are already earning money through the purchases you are doing initially when you're buying the game. You don't need to spend more on the other things inside, like the packs. But for the games like COD, PUBG, these are free games, right? In the market. And then what they are doing, that they have packs inside, and even when the content creators, they are showing that they are buying the packs, then people are getting more interested in that. I want to have this as well. So do you think that all the games should move to the paid version initially? Because in a way, for the free games, they are still finding ways to make money and make people addictive.
You're right, because again, the kind of algorithm that the machine learning has given to the people, they understood the fact that what kind of ways that you could earn money from. So they understood that this is the certain level of percentage. Let's say people are buying packs from FIFA, and this is the level of percentage. This is the certain game where they're buying skins, for example. So free games like Fortnite, PUBG, they are actually earning money from the people who is not just playing the game itself, but by buying additional stuff, so skins and stuff.
Exactly.
You're just gonna get addicted to it, man. Like for example, if I'm a gamer, I just want to buy the dust, man. Like I was like, you know what? Forget about everything. I'm gonna go and buy this pack. I'll get a new player. I'm gonna buy this because it's all about level ups.
Right.
Shiva, it's about leveling up. You're like, they'll design the game in such a way that certain set of games are designed in such a way that if you don't buy this gun, for example, you will not be able to level up. You're getting me, right? So, and how am I supposed to win with this weak gun, for example? Or let's say the weak player in football. I need a better player. I need to pay this. And there is always a way. There is always a way where we can earn this digital gaming currency by leveling up. So which means that you'll have to play more and more in order to level up. But who wants to kill time, right? At the same time, they would be saying, they would be like promoting that, why to kill the time? Go ahead and buy this pack, win more games. Man, if I'm just a kid, of course. And I can go and boast with my friends and my school friends. You know what? I'm having all these skins, all these guns, and I can just win more games, right?
Mhm.
So it's all about level up,
Okay.
and that's the kind of
Okay.
algorithm that they have.
With the introduction of mobile games such as PUBG right now, I want to understand from you. In the past, we did not have a lot of mobile games. We had either PC games, PlayStation, or Xbox. So there was a limited gaming community, right? Players, let's call it. But now with the mobile games, which keeps coming up, do you think the gaming addiction could be on rise because now we have more players and everyone has an hands-on approach and it's much easier available for people to get the games on their cell phones and play? So do you think like the gaming addiction is on rise versus the past? Versus the past when we had just limited resources to play games.
Absolutely. The more the resources out there, it's easier to get addicted. So I think 2 days ago, for example, I saw this lady who's on her phone scrolling. She was literally playing Candy Crush, right, on her phone, and she had this baby. Well, I think about 2 years kid or something. The kid has another phone in her hands, right, and she's watching something on the YouTube or something like that. So my question to you is, at the age of 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 10, 11, we didn't have proper phones, right? We didn't have proper phones. It's not that we are like we are millennials and we are just not, we didn't have that kind of exposure.
Yeah, I can tell you, I got my first phone when I was in university.
The same. I also had my very first phone, like my personal phone, when I was in the university, because that was the need that you need to have a phone. So I got a phone, and that too, we didn't have all those games, online games and stuff. We
just
didn't have
PC games.
Just PC games. We all started with the Snake and Ladder, right, and this Ludo and stuff. That's still more fun, relaxing game, but they made it more poisonous, I would say, more competitive, I would say. So definitely, more resources out there. I don't want to give numbers. I know certain numbers, but I don't want to give the numbers. But it's very easy for any common man to just simply guess it and understand that it's going to get it. Yeah.
Okay. And I want to get into the aspect of how can you build healthy habits while you have gaming. Let's call it you're overplaying the games as well. So I want to start with your parents or partners. So do you think every parents or their partners, they should have a say when their kids or their partners are playing a game, or they should keep an eye and limit it in a way?
Yeah, so the very first thing that comes down is it's a bit different. It's different with generations, right? For us, for you and me, our parents did not have to say that they want to stop gaming because there was no game to play at that time, right? And obviously we came from middle class families, so sorry, when we got exposed to, like, let's say for example, proper gaming like PlayStation, GTA and stuff, like when we were in university or something, right?
Yeah.
And like having a laptop, good laptop to play in, and so it's a generational thing. So for us, our parents did not have that duty to tell us, what, stop playing, kid. What they were saying is, come back home. We were outside playing and they wanted us to come back home before 6 p.m, right?
They used to drag us.
They used to drag us. If not, there is like a big stick waiting for us in the home, right? So that's or the main Indian weapon, the chappal, as it is, right? So getting back on the topic, now this generation, let's say for Gen Z, for example, right? Like I said, they are having phones, videos, games in their hands without privacy locks. They're exposed to all sort of gaming, nudity, everything. There is no certain restriction. So definitely, in my opinion, they are going to get more and more addicted to this, and in this generation, the parents should be controlling them as they could control, because after a certain point they will not be able to control, because the child will be affected, the brain structure has been affected, and they'll be having a lot of health issues even. So this is another thing. So yeah, it's definitely a kind of like a thing which it should come from parents.
Okay, so if I understood
Root cause.
correctly, you are saying that parents should restrict gaming and build healthy habits for their kids, like limit the gaming. For example, I know like even when I was a teenager, when I was going to play outside, my parents were already giving me a time frame, like 1 hour,
Right.
and come back home. So this is how it should be for online gaming as well,
Right.
right? Okay. And what should someone do if they are addicted to gaming?
Uh, so like you said, you thought you were addicted to PUBG, for
Yes.
example, right? So the moment you try and clear, first thing is understanding what are the other problems that I have. Don't focus on gaming. We are leading to gaming because of the fact that there is some other problems in your life.
Right.
So the moment
Right.
those those building blocks that is kind of like destroyed, let's say damaged, replace it with something new.
Right.
So I think that's the point
That's
where
very good point.
you'll have to, and obviously you'll have to look up to your future always. Try to be ambitious. If you have certain ambitions, stop procrastinating and try and do things. Just spend this. It's this 5 minutes rule that I always have. Spend 5 minutes on, let's say I wanted to read a book, and I always say I wanted to read the book for the past 1 week. The book is right here, for example. I have this book, for example. I have this book. I open it, just 5 minutes. I don't want to read it. I still want to read it, but I don't want to read it.
Yeah.
Just read it, 5 minutes. Go drink some water. You know what? I like this. Let me try it again. Go for it. 5 more minutes. Then you take 10 minutes break. 5 more minutes. So that's the kind of cure, like the medicine that you could ingest on yourself to kind of clear off from certain addictions. So it's try and identify the problems that you have apart from gaming. That's not the problem. The root cause is not that. It's all about root cause analysis. You'll have to perform it in order to understand what's the actual problem, what's connecting to it.
This is very good answer. I think it's a very eye-opening thing that if you feel like you're addictive to gaming, you need to understand why you are addicted to something.
Yeah.
What are the reasons behind it? Maybe you have some sort of disorders. You have some problems, traumas, which are going. So, how can people identify such building blocks?
First thing is that you needed to identify what kind of addiction level that you are in. Like sometimes some kids have reached will reach a certain level where they have mental illness kind of thing. Like they're not able to, like I said, their brain is messed up, basically, because without that they just can't live. Then the parents will have to intervene and they'll have to consult a doctor and see what's the biological levels of addiction that they have on the gaming, and have proper instruction. And again, just like how you remove smoking habits, they'll have to kind of cut it off slow, like part by part. That's the kind of more effective method in order to get off from the addiction. And in order to remove these bad blocks and bad building blocks of our life, you need to have a certain skills of root cause analysis, because you need to really understand what's the actual problem, and not to give up. Like even though I'm going back to the gaming, that doesn't mean that I'm going back just because of addiction. Maybe a certain time where I'm just playing it for fun, for example, right? So you needed to identify it. But as a kid, you will not have that skill. That's where the parents will have to step in.
Right.
At the same time, I wanted to add this small point. There is competitive gamers out there whose children, like 14 years, 15 years, 12 years, very good gamers, very good cognitive skills, everything absolutely brilliant. So it's kind of like advantages, of playing a game, for example, right? Because you'll be able to think faster, even. Scientific study says that. So anything related with computer, you'll be able to grasp it as quick as possible, related to technology, anything as such. Now the thing is, the parents, for such gamers, competitive gamers, they are looking after them. They are earning money, but they're looking after them, and they're keeping certain restrictions which is not known by the other people, But there is certain healthy gamers at the same time who's making healthy bucks, and they've kind of expanded their business with merchandise, with Twitch channels.
Yeah.
So there's always good advice. There should be a good advisor besides you, sitting right beside you.
Okay. You said about root cause analysis. Last two questions.
Yeah.
I want to jump into this question first. So, do you think that gaming addiction is a mental health disorder and people should take therapy for it
2019,
in order to understand it, right?
2019, a World Health Organization declared that gaming addiction is sort of a mental illness.
It is.
It is. So that's something which people have to think about. And it's not something like cancer, for example, right? Or any other health disorders. It is a mental disorder. It's been recognized like that. So you'll have to treat it. So, for example, if I have a fever, I'm going to treat it. So
like a
you'll have to-
disease.
exactly. So you'll have to treat it, but do not see it in a way that, oh, you know what, I'm infected by gaming. That shouldn't be the approach. And obviously, there's different levels of addictions as well. But you'll have to consult a psychiatrist probably, in order to change the viewpoint of life. And in order to any addiction, you know how it works. To get yourself out from that addiction, you have to go through. You really have to bite the bullet at the end of the day. So the same thing works with the gaming as well. Yeah.
Last questions.
Yeah.
Last question. Sorry. So, what would you say to someone listening who is questioning on their relationship with gaming right now, especially if you can talk to a teenager person? What would be your advice?
My clear advice would be, I've been in that position even as a teenager. I had PlayStation 3, 4, even the mobile games. I had my studies. I also felt sometimes, I'm actually addicted, I think. But I was trained by my parents that go outside, have a social life, connect with people. Doesn't mean that you have to make countless friends, but have some valuable relations with people. Connect with people.
Yes.
Share your problems. Sharing your problem is very important.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're not able to share it with anybody else, go share it with a psychiatrist. Doesn't mean that you're mentally sick.
Right.
Take advice from an advisor, who could help you with a certain set of problems. If you're not able to connect with people and share your troubles, you will find ways to hide from them, to run from them. And gaming is definitely one of them. It is very dangerous after a certain level, especially for small kids. But outside exposure is very important. And obviously, on how it's going to affect your health is also very, very important. And message to all the parents, especially the new gen parents, is that please keep a check on the gaming for your kids. It's very important to keep a check. If not, things are going to get out of hand at a point, and then it's going to be way too late to make certain restrictions, right? So before it affects your kid or even ourselves, let's try and make sure that the layer of self-consciousness is not worn out and it's healthy. Boost it up. Like I said, if it's getting worn off, it's fine. But let's try and, build it up again. If part of it is broken, let's build it up again by going outside and playing some games, for example.
Right.
Or, just going and doing something else, reading books, making podcasts, for example, right? And do something which you really like. If you don't like anything at all, sit down, stay quiet, try and figure out what you really want to do next. When it comes to relationships, right, it's very important that you control your emotions. You're unhappy with this, you're unhappy with work. Don't try it and take it on to a different person. It's very, very important that you try and control yourself. If you're not able to control, there is something absolutely going wrong with your life. And obviously, if you make a mistake, try and figure it out and apologize. And
that's a very good advice. So be self-conscious,
Yeah,
develop social skills,
true.
and share your emotions at the same time.
Absolutely.
V-
That's the
very nice
takeaways which
advice.
I personally
Yes,
had.
very
So
nice advice. Abe, it was such a pleasure to have you here.
thank you so much.
And it was a very eye-opening podcast. Again, like even for me, because I have been on the other side where I was addicted to the
Both
gaming.
of us. Both
Yes.
of us. Yeah.
And honestly, today I learned a lot of things. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for being here, and it was very lovely.
Yeah.
And guys, thank you very much for joining us. If you like the podcast, please make sure to subscribe, share, and like the video. And also in the description, you will find our podcast notes. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope this podcast helps you to overcome on your gaming addiction. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.